think moving on from like maybe older, I don't want to say older because I think I'm the same age as Curry and like Durant, but it's like, moving on to some of the more of the young bucks, the up and comers a little bit that have two NBA players that have played in the past two finals with the Phoenix Suns and Devin Booker, and then also Jayson Tatum and the Celtics for this NBA Finals. I think, when I was thinking about this whole Durant Curry thing, I was like, well, what about some of the younger people? Is there like a nice I guess compare and contrast we could possibly talk about from some of the younger players? I think both Tatum and Booker, both like 25 years or younger. I think Booker is 25, Tatum 24, and it's like both have made impacts. I think on their own teams, their own franchises, and in the league in general. So yeah, just I guess want to open up to you. Like who would you take if you were kind of starting your own franchise? Go through your reasons why you would choose that person.
Yeah, this was a great question. When you first posed it, it wasn't like I was like, oh yeah, it's him for sure. It was one of those things where I had to take like a few minutes to just kind of sit back and really think about it, because these two do match up pretty well. I mean, I don't want to say like their games are like identical, but similar positions, similar age, similar accomplishments. They're both very well regarded within the league. I mean, I think both of them are all NBA first teams this year. Correct me if I'm wrong. But it's one of those situations where they're both starting to come up with their teams in terms of establishing legitimacy with both franchises. And it's like, if depending on what happens with Chris Paul or Ayton after this season, it's kind of like hopefully the Suns hold it all together. But when I did a little bit of digging, what I was kind of coming to a conclusion was that Tatum seems to have him beat a little bit across the board. Things that I think we should care about as like analysts of the game. I mean, accolades aside, and I can go through them, but I think looking at some of the metrics, there's an NBA player impact estimate, stat that basically looks at the box score for each individual player and just is like, it's a aggregation of all, stats that impact the game. And Tatum ranked 8 on that list. Booker wasn't on the first 10. There's net rating. It's just kind of offensive rating minus defensive rating. Essentially, when this player is off the court, how much does that impact the player? It's kind of like a plus minus, but Tatum was ranked 9th on that one. And then Tatum also was number 4 on both usage percentage and turnover percentage. So he's contributing to the field goals and free throws or turnovers, for his team on usage percentage. So it's like how much he's involved in the offense. And then to also be ranked number 4 for turnover percentage in terms of how many possessions versus how many turnovers you have, like to be used as much as he is used and to turn the ball over, to be the 4th ranked person in terms of, your percentage there, just how efficient you are at holding the ball. It's like, there are things that Tatum does, I think, that we probably can't see on screen that prove that his impact, is so important to his team. And, just looking at what, Boston's accomplished this year with, number 1 overall defense, they're playing lights out right now. It's going to be, a tight matchup. I know you and I are like, all for the Warriors and stuff, but it's like, it truly is impressive. I mean, both these guys, you line up the, all NBAs, looks like it's 2-1 Tatum. The all defensive team this year is pretty tight. They both got, extra votes consideration wise. It's, they both, are making finals appearances here. It's like, it's close, man. I could make an argument. I could try to make an argument for Booker too, but I ultimately come away with, if I was starting a team and I'm looking at both guys, I mean, even giving, 1 less year and 3 extra inches to Tatum, it's like, I would take Tatum. Like, that'd be my pick.
Got it. Yeah, no, that's I think you stole some of my thunder. No, for sure. Yeah, no. Well, for me, I think for me it comes down a little bit more on the defensive side. I get it that they play different positions, right? So it's kind of hard to compare. Tatum is definitely that forward kind of a swing, but he's definitely large enough, especially modern day age. It's like, yeah, he can kind of play like that four as well. Power forwards just don't exist really in this modern day NBA anymore. It seems like so. He is yeah, just an overall better defender. Better at steals, blocks, I believe. Uh, to this according to the stats. I think um, what he's been able to do with, I think, with the Celtics and just kind of them being consummate winners too. Like since he entered, his rookie year, like they've always, I think they've always made the playoffs or made a good push on there. So compared to, I guess, when Booker kind of more so struggled, when it was kind of just him until CP3 came. So granted, the Celtics obviously had a better team overall to surround Tatum, when they had Kyrie, Kemba, etc. So and obviously Jaylen Brown. But if I were to start a franchise, I would pick Jayson Tatum. That being said, when I was looking at the stats, the data, kind of like the overall makeup of everything, I was actually like, oh, Devin Booker. I kind of was more surprised because the thing going in, I was like Tatum all the way, Tatum all the way. But then, comparatively, it's like he's actually not as bad of a defender as maybe I thought. Devin Booker. I don't think he's actually not as bad of a defender as maybe I would have thought originally. He's definitely a much more of a playmaker than Tatum, although Tatum's been improving it as showcased in this NBA playoffs. So, but I definitely see, like, if I were to start a franchise, given the offensive side, the defensive side, just Tatum's a consummate professional too. Like you hear him talk, it's like, yeah, this person is the kind of person you want to have that start a franchise with. That being said, it's like Devin Booker. He's not that bad of a guy too. I know he's the whole Kardashian Jenner thing or whatever, but hey, can knock on a guy for having a little bit of fun too. But yeah, I would pick Tatum, um, all day though, with that. So yeah.
Yeah, I'll take the guy who's not dating a celebrity. He'll probably be a little bit
Yeah.
more focused and ready to play. But no,
Yeah.
I think that's fair. And there are some differences in what they contribute. It seems like Tatum's probably the superior rebounder. Outside of maybe this season, I would say Devin is just a better pure scorer than Tatum overall. They seem pretty comparable in the just in the assist category. Defensively, it seemed like they both got votes, so it's not like either one was in the first team or anything like that, but they were also kind of at least considered around the same amount of votes. So yeah, it's tough, man. And I don't even I don't want to slight Booker because I really like his game, and I thought he was more of a 3-point shooter, or maybe solely just looked at as kind of a scorer. But when they started making the Kobe Bryant comparisons last year in the finals run, I was like really starting to look at him a different way. Like, okay, is he really, like, is he more Reggie Miller, or is he really more Kobe? And you can kind of tell, like, he's tenacious in the sense that he's willing to kind of back down a guy and maybe you shoot fadeaway two instead of just like spotting up for a 3-pointer and just kind of always going to that that type of basket, to that type of shot or what have you. So it's like I can see there are elements of his game where he's like a real craftsman, and I think that'll only get better with time as he kind of continues to develop. So hopefully the Suns can just continue to hold it together, bring on some new pieces, and get him more on TV, because his first few years we weren't even watching him. I don't think I watched one Suns game because they were just so bad. So hopefully
Right.
they stay on TV.
Yeah, I mean, he what dropped 70 or whatever, and then like I remember it was against the Celtics, I think too, and it was like, oh, but the Celtics won, so they're like, what's the big deal? Like this guy scored 70 or whatever, but we won. So what does it all amount to? Like, it doesn't really matter, right? Um, but I mean, in a way, that kind of showcases like Devin Booker's career in a way. It's like, at least didn't win early on, but he can get buckets. And I was listening to some other podcasts, and I think they brought this idea that it's like, both of them kind of took that reins from Kobe. Like both of them are Kobe fans. Tatum wore that 24. Um, it was funny because it's a Laker. It's that purple and gold Laker armband during the game 7. So it's like, both of them are big fans of Kobe. So it really just, I think, goes to show you Kobe's impact on the younger players, and obviously older players, but obviously the younger players of the NBA today. So, and kind of those lasting efforts, and it's like even me, like I was cheering for the Sacramento Kings back in the day against the Lakers, but I think for me as a basketball fan, I just appreciate, I think, more now after the fact of Kobe's legacy, and we can definitely see that both in Tatum and Booker and what they bring to the table. Both, they're both mid-range type of players, but obviously have a good shot and just have that tenacity. And that's why, yeah, you were right. They both made first team NBAs. So, I think the future of the NBA is bright with those two, Doncic, Trae Young, John Moran, etc. So,